Hello everyone. I believe we are live, but I'm not sure yet. Are we? I still don't see anything. Yes, we are live. Okay. Wonderful. Hello everyone and welcome. This is the Apostate Prophet. Thanks everyone for joining. Thank you so much for being here. Can everyone tell me if the sound is okay, if everything's right? I don't want to mess this up again. Yeah, okay. Wonderful. Great. Thanks guys for joining. Hello everyone. As you can see in the title, I want to talk briefly about the Patreon purge. Many know what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is that Patreon a few weeks ago, I believe 2 weeks ago, banned Carl Benjamin, also known as Sargon of Akkad, from Patreon because of something that Sargon of Akkad said on a different platform. What he said, I actually wanted to pull it up here somewhere, but what he said is on a very different platform, on someone else's YouTube channel during a live chat, he called Nazis that he was talking to, alt-right people that he was talking to, the N-word. Can't believe I'm saying it like that. I can't even say the word out of fear of being banned. Whatever. He called alt-right people, Nazi people, you niggers. Because the alt-right people are talking that way about black people. The sound is distorted? Seriously? That is... Come on, man. Well, let me solve that very, very quickly. I hope this is better. That's all I can do. Better? I guess it's a bit better. I don't know. Anyway, Sargon of Akkad was banned because he called alt-right people Nazis niggers and said that that white people behave very decently and that they don't behave like white people, that they behave like those people they call niggers. So Patreon decided that that was a very good reason to ban people and ban Sargon of Akkad from Patreon. Many people are extremely outraged because of that. Many people see that as a great betrayal, because Jack Conte, the founder of Patreon, said before that Patreon didn't have any problem with speech as long as it's not inciting violence or anything. So that's why people are currently running off of Patreon. I have lost about 30 patrons so far. Many people have been asking me about an alternative. I actually wanted to come up with an alternative with an alternative platform, with a different platform that I wanted to set up, but I haven't quite arrived there yet. Sam Harris has left Patreon. He announced that he can't take this nonsense anymore of censorship and biased stuff. So Sam Harris deleted his Patreon account, and Sam Harris was among the top 20 Patreon accounts. And with that, more and more people are leaving Patreon. So many of you are asking me for a different platform where you can keep supporting me, because no one wants to use Patreon anymore. So that's why I have in the comment section, in a pinned comment, linked a link to my page, to my website, apostateprophet.com, and support Apostate Prophet. So for all those who ask me for a Patreon alternative because they don't want to support me on Patreon, because they don't want to give money to Patreon, you can support me through that platform, through my own website. You can use recurring PayPal donations. You can support me through that for now. In more refreshing news, by the way, thank you so much, Mr. Werewolf Dude, for your super chat. Thank you so much. I thought there was a question to that, but thank you anyway. In more refreshing news, Dave Rubin and Jordan Peterson announced that they are working currently on an alternative to Patreon, which should be a great thing. So for a free speech alternative to Patreon, as soon as that comes out, I will definitely be there. I will definitely sign up and make a page there, and will announce it very bigly. And you can immediately come and support me there if you want to, if you feel uncomfortable with Patreon and PayPal. aside from that, I actually want to share something. Many of those who are aware of the whole Patreon Sargon of Akkad thing moved over to a new platform called Subscribestar. Now, when people first moved to this new platform called Subscribestar, I thought, what are these people doing? No one even knows what Subscribestar is. No one knows who's behind Subscribestar. No one knows if the same problems will occur in the future or not. So, therefore, what I did was to contact Subscribestar before I moved to Subscribestar. And they assured me that they had no problems with free speech at all, with hate speech or anything. As long as my activities are legal, they would completely support everything I do. That's what I said. That's what Subscribestar said. But then suddenly, when I signed up and made a profile there, Subscribestar told me that they couldn't approve my account because it was problematic. There was an internal voting and they couldn't approve my account. So they suddenly couldn't approve my account because it was about Islam, and that was considered problematic. Now, they told me before that every activity, as long as it's legal, was okay on their platform. But now suddenly they said they couldn't approve my account because there was a problem with my account. My account is only about Islam. Nothing I make on my account is illegal anywhere except in the Islamic world. So, anyway. Long story short, Subscribestar is not a reliable platform, and all those running to Subscribestar as a Patreon alternative, I just want to tell you that Subscribestar shouldn't be trusted. It's not a great platform. They are not for free speech at all. They banned me basically for hate speech against Islam. That said, again, for all those who have joined later than the beginning, but you will all see the live chats from the beginning anyway, for all those who are interested in the whole Patreon thing. But I have linked in the description. Oh, not yet in the description. I need to do that later. But in the comments, in the pinned comment, and also later in the description, you will find a link to my website to support Apostate Prophet. And if you feel uncomfortable supporting me on Patreon because of Patreon's censorship policies and because of their lame explanations of those censorship policies, and if you don't want to support me on PayPal because PayPal goes the same way, then you can support me temporarily on PayPal for recurring payments, and as soon as something new happens, as soon as I make a platform, or as soon as Dave Rubin and Jordan Peterson make an alternative to platform, I will definitely be there and I will announce that. So to all those who ditched Patreon, please be patient. I will come back with something better, or someone else will. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say about Patreon. I know so many people say turn on advertisements, but the thing is, I have monetization on my YouTube channel, and the default is that as soon as I upload a video on YouTube, it is set on monetization. But YouTube demonetizes pretty much every video that I upload, so I can't really rely on this YouTube monetization. That's why I'm not gonna deal with all that shenanigans anymore. I'll just keep saying the same thing. My content is not monetized, so if you want to support me on Patreon or another platform, you can do that here and here and here. I'll make more and more updates about that in the coming days and weeks. And yes, to say it again, don't trust Subscribestar. Subscribestar is not for free speech. They banned me. They didn't accept me because I was criticizing Islam. That is all I have to say about the whole Patreon thing. I'll make an announcement about that again. Okay. Thanks everyone for joining. 390 people watching. Great. Thank you so much, everyone. I haven't looked very much at the questions so far, but I've set up this thing. If you send me a super chat, it will be up here somewhere, and I'll go slowly into answering your questions. This is not a patron only live chat, so you can ask me whatever you want. I will start with patron only, supporter only live chats very, very soon. Yeah, some guy called Turkish Islamic Community, Turkish Islamic Ummah in Turkish, called me a treacherous infidel, and that we will chop off my head if I don't return. Very, very nice message. Thank you so much. That doesn't scare me. No, that makes me just laugh at you people. Okay, let's come to the questions. Brian Wilson, yes, Jordan Peterson is making an alternative. As soon as it's out there, I will definitely be there, and you can come and support me there. Thank you so much for your input. All right, blasted, bestiality and Sharia law. Okay, here's something I want to say about the bestiality in Islam. There are many people who say that bestiality is apparently allowed in Islam. And many critics of Islam also say the same thing, use the same thing. But the thing is, I can't fully agree with that. Because bestiality is actually not something that is fully allowed in Islam. It really doesn't go that way. I want to go further into that in future videos that I want to make about this topic, but the topic about bestiality is a pretty complicated topic, and it's actually not allowed in Islam. I know many of you don't expect this from me, but the general scholarly consensus is that it's not allowed. Many people who say that bestiality is a thing in Islam base this on one hadith, on one narration, which says that there is no prescribed punishment for bestiality in Islam. But aside from that, there are also many authentic hadith that say that that people who have sex with animals should be killed, just like the animal. So yeah, it's a complicated topic. I'll definitely make a video about that. But I'll probably not agree with many people who say that having sex with animals is completely fine in Islam. I criticize Islam, but I would like to stay honest about that. Taqiyya is another issue that is also very often taken in a wrong way, but I will clarify all those things in the future. Karen Abrams, an interview with Jordan Peterson would be very cool. It would be amazing, but I don't think that will happen very soon. But there are some other people that I'm talking with now that I would love to get here on this platform in the future. Christian Prince, thank you for asking, Cabot Baldi. Christian Prince will be here on my channel soon for a live chat. Many people have been asking about that, so I went there and asked him if he is interested in a live chat with me. He said he would definitely be interested. At the beginning of January, most probably January 3rd, or in the days after that, I will have a live chat here with Christian Prince on this channel. Will be very, very interesting. Other questions. What about you? Are all Abrahamic religions the same? No, they are not. They're definitely not. And people who say that they are all the same probably don't really have much of a clue of all the Abrahamic religions. I would definitely not agree that all Abrahamic religions are the same if we even count Islam as an Abrahamic religion. I wouldn't even say that Islam is an Abrahamic religion. Because I received an email from someone who recently gave me a very different perspective on this matter. I actually want to thank him here again if he's watching this live stream. I think he made a very great point in saying that we can't even call Islam an Abrahamic religion because of one very simple thing, which is that if you think about Judaism and Christianity, those two are two different religions that have very different interpretations on many things, but they have still basically stayed the same. The whole stories about the prophets, the whole rules and this and that, is everything is pretty much the same. The thing that changed is the interpretation of the Messiah and the rules that have been lifted for Christians. But if we come to Islam, Islam is suddenly completely different. Islam has the Kaaba, has so many different elements that have no place at all in Christianity and Judaism, and has suddenly a completely different prophet, Muhammad, an Arab, that made very, very weird rules in religion. So it has very much broken off of Christianity and Judaism, and can therefore not really be called an Abrahamic religion. And I would very much agree with that. So yeah, very, very long story short, I wouldn't say all Abrahamic religions are the same, and I would also not say that Islam is an Abrahamic religion. But thanks for the question. Trevor Noah said, do you have a girlfriend or are you a loser? No, I actually have a wife, loser. Thank you. WaizoX said, question, why don't you do video responses? I haven't seen many videos that I could make a proper response to without behaving like a child. I guess you're referring to videos that were against me, people who exposed the apostate prophet. I didn't make a video response to those because most of them were just insulting, just ad hominems, saying a lot of things about my character without actually staying on the point. That's why I wouldn't even go into that. If someone really came and made a very respectful, very nice argumentation against me, a nice video refutation of me, I would gladly make a video response to that if it's any worth, or unless it's filled with completely stupid arguments. But yeah, that's why I didn't make any video response to all those people so far. Fillerator, thank you for the super chat. The question is, in a recent interview with Dave Rubin, Imam Tawhidi was dour about the future. Reform of Islam was impossible. That Islam would continue aggressive inroads into the West by politics. Your reaction? I don't know if you have seen it so far, but I had a live chat with Imam Tawhidi. Thanks for the question. I had a live chat with Imam Tawhidi. It went very horribly because I had technical problems here on my side. Imam Tawhidi had technical problems on his side. Those two combined made the live chat sound really, really horrible. That's why many people chose to not listen to the live chat, and I eventually ended up deleting the live chat, which is very sad because the live chat was actually very, very good. I wish more people had seen that, because in my live chat with Imam Tawhidi, I challenged him so fiercely. He told me at the beginning that I shouldn't be nice with him because everyone's so nice with him, and I said, oh, believe me, I won't be nice. So I started attacking him very much on what he really wants to do, on what his form of Islam is, on how he wants to reform the Muslim community, and so on. So I started digging and asking him the same questions until he gives me satisfying responses. And it went very well. I had a very, very tough debate with him. I would love to do that again. He promised he would come and have a discussion with me again in the near future. But that's pretty much what he said. And in that chat, we came to the same thing, that Islam stays pretty much the same, and that Imam Tawhidi tries to change the Muslims, not Islam itself. Because Imam Tawhidi, just like anyone else on this matter, realizes that Islam cannot be reformed. The only reform that you can make is by reforming the Muslims, and then increasing the Muslim population that actually reforms themselves instead of their religion, that has different attitudes, that has a secular, a more logical, a more reasonable approach to the world. I don't even believe that is possible, although Imam Tawhidi believes that's possible, but that's just Imam Tawhidi and that's just me. So anyway, that was a very long answer to your question. Sorry and thanks. Uri Day said, what do you think about non-practicing cultural Muslims? I don't even want to go very much into that. I mean, I believe people should stop using the Muslim identity altogether because it's ridiculous. If people want to be a more modern, a more moderate kind of Muslim, and don't want to promote all the violent, aggressive, intolerant nonsense that comes with Islam, they should just stop identifying as Muslim. Because I think that's the point that I made in my Islam cannot be reformed video. As long as people identify with Islam, as long as people present the Quran as the book of authority over anything else, we cannot have a peaceful solution. We cannot have a peaceful Islam. There is no peaceful Islam. Islam altogether is dangerous and violent. J-Bond Vagabond said, are you also a medical doctor, Apostate Prophet? I am a medical doctor. I'm a medical doctor. Oh, by the way, I will have a live chat with Vidovitz only later this week on Thursday. Vidovitz will be here. He will make some quite nice Zakirnaic impressions and other impressions, and we'll talk a lot about him, about what's currently going on in the Islamic world, what's currently going on online, about Christmas, and so on. So he will be here with me on Thursday, but I will announce that later today. Will be a nice talk. Kizawa said, what did your parents say when you left Islam? Thank you for the question. It's hard to believe, but my parents don't actually know that I left Islam, unless they know and they haven't told me. I haven't told anyone that I left Islam among my close. I haven't told my parents that I left Islam. I don't know where I was going. So they don't know yet. They just know that I'm far less religious, which is very obvious because I was very religious, but they don't know that I left Islam. All right. Great asked, what do you think about Edip Yüksel? Thank you for the question, Great. For those who don't know, Edip Yüksel is a Turkish, Kurdish, Islamic scholar who is in America, in Arizona. And he believes in numerical miracles in the Quran. Rejects all the hadith and wants to reform Islam and make it into something more peaceful. I sympathize with his efforts of making Islam a more peaceful religion, but I also believe that it's complete nonsense. And his numerical miracle stuff is also quite weird. I want to get into debunking those numerical miracles very much. That's what I basically think about Edip Yüksel. I sympathize with his aims of making the community more peaceful, but apart from that, his work is very much weird. I actually invited him on my channel to have a live chat in the future, but he didn't give me any response so far. Maybe because he has seen that I look very much like what he calls the far right, which is absolute nonsense. People don't even know about my political opinions about so many things. How can I be far right? John TDC, thank you so much for your super chat. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you very much. And Somin Kim also made a super chat, said great videos, stay safe. I don't even know what currency that is. I'm very sorry. But thank you so much. Thanks for all the comments, for all the questions, guys. Thank you for the participation. Thank you, friends. Dave DCS said, do you believe in God? I don't believe in God, but I don't have any problem with people who don't believe in God, who believe in God, or who don't believe in God. Okay, I don't believe in God, but I don't have any problem with other people who don't share my opinion or who share my opinion. But thank you so much for your question. I feel like I need to clarify that further in a dedicated video. That would be actually quite nice for everyone to understand. What do you guys think? Should I make a video about why I don't believe in God? It will be quite peaceful. I won't attack anyone. I'm not like the usual atheist from the cringy atheist community. Thank you so much for all the great comments. Thank you very much. J-Bond Vagabond said, will you debate with Zakir Naik someday? I would love to. I would really love to. I would love to be in front of him within an impartial audience and fiercely debate Zakir Naik. I would love that, but I don't believe Zakir Naik is actually ready for such things. He prefers just inviting people to his own Islamic center and just shutting them down as soon as he presented his arguments. Okay, many people have said yes, that's referring to a wish for a video on why I don't believe in God. Okay, I'll do that. I'll definitely work on that. I will do that. No worries. It won't be a video in which I attack people who believe in God or I attack people who have different beliefs. I will just explain, to get it out of the way, why I don't believe in God, why I don't believe in other things, and why I'm not a fierce atheist, why I'm not a fierce anti-theist. It will just be a general video about that question that comes up all the time. I will do that. It's nice to have your opinion on this. Yeah, I'll work on that. Thank you, guys. Nilufar Rahman said, like your content, want to support your cause. Thank you so much, Nilufar. Thank you so much for the super chat. I really appreciate it. You can always attach questions to your super chat, and I will gladly come to that and answer that very quickly. Sorry if I miss your questions, by the way. Guys, there are so many questions. There are dozens of questions every 10 seconds. I can hardly follow that. I'm very sorry. But I'm doing my best and trying to pick out questions that I haven't answered before. Funny World of Clips said, why are you revealing secrets of Islam? Because I think the main reason is that I realize that Islam is a very dangerous, a very bad ideology, a very bad political system, not even a religion. That's reason number one. Reason number two is that I'm an ex-Muslim, and I have personally, I won't say under Sharia or anything, I have personally suffered from Islam very much because of the way Islam affects a person's mental state, a person's own decisions, a person's success and orientation in life. And because Islam is full of lies. Islam is the worst religion there is. And as I said only recently, I don't have a problem with religion. I have a problem with Islam because Islam is the worst example of a religion. That is why I'm doing this. I hope that answers your question. Thank you very much. Gedalia, right. Gedalia said, I'm a Christian and I really do not care what anyone says to me. I debate Muslims, so my skin is thick. Nice. Yeah, that's exactly what I meant. Will I make a video on the conquest of Persia? Asked by Kavan Patel. I will do that. I actually want to go into a series of making videos about the destruction of different cultures in history, the destruction of civilizations, together with their temples and their important religious places. I want to make that, not only religious places, so many places, so many buildings of cultural importance have been pretty much destroyed by Islam in history. I want to make a series of videos about that in future. I think I'm not quite ready for that yet, but yes, I want to do that in the future. It would be a very, very nice series. I want to do that as soon as I have much more the ability to make more professional videos and dedicate more time to them. Henry Stepdonk said, do you draw similarities between Islam and Nazism? I absolutely do. Some people think it's a very controversial thing to say, to equate Nazism to Islam, but I don't think there is any problem with that. I think Islam in itself is a horrible religion and has very many similarities to Nazism in the way it executes things in society. I would even say that Islam is, considering the timeline of Nazism and the timeline of Islam, much worse than Nazism. Which doesn't mean that Nazism is great. Nazism is a horrible, disgusting ideology. It's I wouldn't even go to the horrible and disgusting, but it's completely a stupid, moronic ideology. Stay away from Nazism too. And stay away from communism. But thanks for the question. Hemakandran Dibak said, what do you do full time? I'm a translator, subtitler. I have worked very much in that area. And I also spent a lot of time reading about these things, putting stuff together so that I can present quality content on YouTube. And I'm also working on a book right now. So I know that's not everything. That's not what you asked, but yeah. Thanks for the question. And on said psychological perspective. Was that referring? I don't know. I don't know what that is in reference to. Dark Matter said, when Muslim say that Sharia says to follow. No. I don't know what your question is, Dark Matter. Please, can you form your question again, and I can answer it gladly if I see it. Pedro said, will you do a video where you give your thoughts about Christianity? I will gladly do that. I actually have something else in mind where I could make a different video together with someone else, together with a Christian, in which I would dig a bit and ask the Christian person. I even have a preference for that person about many questions that could in a way compare Christianity to Islam, and I also want to explain in such a video, in such a project, why I don't have a problem with Christianity as much as I have a problem with Islam. Yeah, I will gladly do that. And I also want to make a project on my own in which I compare Christianity to Islam. I think there is a lot to say about that. Gedalia, absolutely. Hitler was a friend of the Muslims, of the Palestinian Imam, of so many other Muslims. He used the Muslim community in Palestine to fuel more hate against the Jews. Hitler also said that Islam was a great religion, that Islam would have been so much better for the Germans than Christianity is. So those are really important things that people need to realize, that people need to say. Manus Eliasson said, and made a super chat. Thank you so much, Manus. The question is, do you believe Mecca existed in the time of Muhammad? There seems to be no evidence for it. Well, I would say Mecca did exist. I would say we have almost certain evidence that Mecca existed a few centuries before Muhammad. The problem is that we don't have any evidence that Mecca was a big trade center or a big city in the region. So, the Islamic claim is that Mecca was a great city, was a center of trade, had so much influence on the region and outside of its region, which is all complete nonsense. History debunks that claim very easily. But Mecca did exist, which is what I believe, based on reading history. Aman Singh said, can you debate Ali Dawa and hijab? I actually would. I'm not very sure about debating Muhammad hijab because of, I don't know if you guys have seen, many of you might have seen if you follow David Wood, but if you have seen the debate between Muhammad hijab and David Wood, Muhammad hijab has a very unprofessional and a very dirty way of debating someone. He made basically personal attacks against David Wood all the time, made extremely condescending, insulting statements during his debate. So I don't really know. The thing is, when Muslims present a debater like Muhammad hijab and he goes out and personally attacks his opponent in a debate, Muslims actually see that as a reason to celebrate and to think that they have won the debate, which is not how debates go. That's why I always say I have a problem with debates between me and Muslims, because that's not what a debate should look like, and that's a waste of energy. But Ali Dawa, dear Ali Dawa, if you see this, I would love to have a debate in an unbiased environment, in an unbiased organization with you. I would love to have a debate with you if you can refrain from making personal attacks like your guy Muhammad Hijab. I hope you see this. Thank you very much, Ali Dawa. He will probably ignore this because I don't have 100,000 subscribers yet. Dave this CS said, what does your wife think about your videos? My wife loves my videos. She's the main supporter behind my whole work, and I thank her very much for this. She's probably not seeing this right now, but she'll see this later. Thank you very much, my wife. I have an amazing wife. She's very supportive. But I don't want to go into this and talk for 2 hours about my wife now, because I know that's not what we're here for. Jabba TV said, do you know how much they make doing dawah? I don't know, but okay, let me not make any statements about that anymore. You can all make jokes about that, you can have fun about that. Let me not talk about that anymore. I still don't have 100,000 subscribers, so Ali Dawa will probably not take me seriously. Joseph Frangic said, what do you think about Ataturk? As a Turkish person, partially, I think that Ataturk was a great person, was a great figure in many ways. Oh, there is my wife in the comment section, by the way. I love you too. Ataturk was great in many ways. He reformed the Turkish society. He pretty much removed Islamism in Turkey. He changed Turkey suddenly into a secular society, suddenly very much into the future, a modern society, a very moderate society. So he did some great work, Ataturk. But the thing is, I don't really agree with the methodology of Ataturk and his people, because what they did in Turkey was to suppress Islamist sentiments completely in the country, but also ban Islamists, ban Islamic institutions, and ban many Islamic Sufi orders and so on in the country. So they actually forcibly suppressed Islam in Turkey. And as you can see, there's currently an Islamic resurgence going on in Turkey, and that is, I believe, partially to blame on this policy of suppressing Islam in Turkey very much. You see, suppressing Islamism and Islam is, some might see that as a great solution, but what happens afterward is that those suppressed Islamists gain more and more power over the decades and then come out and turn the country into an Islamist country. That's what's currently happening in Turkey. Redo Saley, thank you very much for your super chat. Any thoughts about Morocco? A lot of apostasy has showed up lately. There's also a famous guy who makes videos like you called Kafir Maghribi. Cheers. Thank you so much for your question. Thanks so much for your super chat. I haven't heard of Kafir Maghribi. I will definitely check that out. Anyone who does great work like that courageously from an Islamic country is also very much welcome on my channel for a live chat with me. I would very much welcome that. But I have seen many news about Morocco becoming more and more less and less religious, less and less Islamist, and more open-minded, and joining the ranks of modern society very, very slowly. But it's refreshing to see something like that happen. Although I do not very much care about Islamic countries, but it's great to see something like that happen, because Morocco was also a place where apostates could be killed. But I believe Morocco has made a lot of changes about that, so that people cannot be officially labeled as apostates anymore. So great things are happening. Apostasy is rising in the world. Many people are acknowledging that people are leaving Islam. So it's a great thing to see. Weebu said, "Can you disprove mathematical miracles in the Quran?" Thank you so much, Weebu, for your super chat. I wouldn't go into that right now during this live chat, because it's a very, very extremely boring concept. Numerical miracles in the Quran. It's and mathematical miracles. It's ridiculous if you go into that. For all those who don't know what we are talking about, some people out there, like a guy that I mentioned just a few minutes ago, I believe, Debunking, and many other people do this thing that they believe in numerical and mathematical miracles in the Quran that somehow prove Islam to be a true religion from God, from Allah, from the Almighty One that knows everything. Those numerical miracles seem very much convincing once you look at them, because they are presented in such a sensational and nice and professional way. But if you dig further into it, there are just a bunch of nonsense. You could do the same numerical miracles with the Bible. You could do them with old books that don't mean anything. You could even do that with the Harry Potter books. So there is really no miracle about that. But I would love to go into that in the future, and make a debunk series about that as well. For all those who don't have the time listening to such nonsense, but have the time reading about such nonsense, there's actually an Answering Islam article that makes a very great explanation about that numerical miracles concept that I have read a while ago. I will share it later in the comment section. But there are definitely no numerical miracles. It's complete nonsense. Thanks for the question. Oreki Jamieson said, Mufti Abu Laith said on his show that you are amongst the violent ex-Muslims who try to expose Islam. Would you be willing to debate him? He said that? I don't know. Can you send me a reference to that? Which video, which part of the video and so on? Because I haven't seen that. I actually, I didn't think he would say that about me, which is very weird. But yeah, I would consider having a debate with him. I'm not sure about that. You know what I think about debates, but I would consider it. But thanks for letting me know. And please, if you have any reference to that, contact me on Twitter, send it to me. I would gladly approach him about that and ask him, hey, what are you talking about, man? So... Okay. Somesh Kadam said, will you do a collab about is Allah and Yahuwah the same? Or Yahweh the same? Video with Dark Matter 2525. I would. I don't know why with him. I think he wouldn't talk very much about these things, but I would do that. Yeah, I would surely do that. I actually want to make a collab on something like that in near future with someone else who has talked about that very much. But I don't want to announce it without actually having planned it completely. But I will talk about that. Thanks very much. Thanks everyone for joining very much. Thank you so much for the great comments, for all the questions. I can't even follow them. So sorry for not responding to your question. I'm trying to pick out all the questions that I haven't answered. Fabio Nuno Reis said, hey Apostate, how are you doing? Do you have more information about the Al-Andalus period? If it was a paradise or not throughout Muslim sources, or where can I find such sources? Thanks from PT. I will definitely make a video about... I want to make a video series about the whole Andalusia thing. For those who don't know, Al-Andalus was a past Islamic caliphate. The caliphate, the emirate, the caliphate of Cordoba. I don't know. I'm not for sure about the exact name of the caliphate of the emirate, whatever it is. But it was basically an Islamic entity in Andalus in Spain, and many Muslims nowadays refer to that Islamic entity as very peaceful, very tolerant, very progressive, very nice, and this and that. But there are just so many problems about that. If you go further into history and read about it, it wasn't all about peace and tolerance and progress and whatever they say. It was definitely not, and I can be very sure when I say that. So I will definitely make a video about that in the future. I would also love to include some other people in my talk about that. Some people who are known to talk much about history. Just like the Islamic Golden Age, that's another scam. Thanks for the question. Christian for Christ made a super chat. Thank you so much. What do you think about Christian Prince? To be honest, I haven't looked very much into his work. I know that he makes a lot of live chats, a lot of live debates. He makes people call him and debate them. That's a very, very nice thing to do. He puts a lot of energy into that. I couldn't do the same thing, to be very honest. I think he does great work. He has a lot of knowledge on the Arabic language, on Islam. He also published books. I haven't read them. But Christian Prince will actually be here with me next month at the beginning of January, most probably on January 3rd, if not on a different date surrounding January 3rd. But I will announce that very greatly. Many people want me to talk to Christian Prince. I will do that. Thanks for the question. Said Nadim said, what made you leave Islam? That's a very, very long topic. But I made 3 why I left Islam videos. So there is a lot that I said there. 2 of them are 40-minute videos. In one I explained my whole background. In one I explained the whole reasons why I left Islam. And then I made a new video in which I just made everything together. You can watch that. You would benefit much more from that than from me talking about why I left Islam right now. Thanks for the question. Rodboy the Unhead said, hey, Apostate Prophet, are you planning to visit Israel? Don't say such things on a live chat. Many people think that I'm funded by Israel, which is actually true, but I don't want to say that publicly. I would actually love to. I think it's a very nice country. Apart from all the political stuff that's going on, I think it's a nice country. I would visit many places on earth, and that has nothing to do with my Israel and Palestine. I would gladly visit Egypt too, although it is pretty much a hellhole currently. Let's see. Many people are asking now if Christian Prince would let us see his face. I don't believe he would. I will ask him about that, but I don't believe he would. That's the only thing I'm uncomfortable about. I will have a chat with Christian Prince, but I will be there on screen and you will see nothing of him. He will just talk. But that's just how it is. Sanket Bhagat said, if God exists, you're doing his work. Thank you so much. I know, it's a nice thing to say. I don't know what to think about it when people say such things, but I appreciate your thought. Suryansh Singh said, why do so many white women support Islam? Because so many of them don't have any idea about what Islam really is. They think that Islam and Muslim is just a minority, and that so many right-leaning people are angry about Islam and Muslims and spread hate about Islam and Muslims, about this sweet tiny minority, and that's why left-leaning people, especially as you mentioned, women, I wouldn't say especially women, but especially people who are left-leaning and very vocal in that, have this tendency to protect Islam completely irrationally and stupidly. I wish we could give people more sense, but all we can do is just talk to them and expect them to think a little bit further. The funniest thing is when people call ex-Muslims racists or xenophobes or Islamophobes or whatever. That's just ridiculous. Seriously, you don't even have to think very much about that until realize that's just complete nonsense. Oreki Jameson, thank you so much. I will... Jesus. Okay. Thank you so much for giving me the timestamp on Abulaith's video. I will definitely go and check out what he said about me. And then I will approach him and be like, hey, what are you talking about me, man? I'll quickly save this before it gets lost. And I'm here with you again. All right, let's go back to the questions. Thank you so much, Oreki. Why are you such a murtad? Murtad means apostate, by the way. I can't see the comment anymore, whoever asked that, but because I love it, I would suggest you to do the same. Thank you so much. What the problem with Patreon? Okay, there are more and more people asking about the Patreon thing again. I talked about it in the very beginning of this live chat. You can go to that live chat to listen to it again. Sargon of Akkad has been banned from Patreon about 2 weeks ago. People have been outraged about Patreon, ran to some new platforms, couldn't find a solution there. Sam Harris announced that he doesn't want to deal with Patreon anymore because of their censorship policies. And Sam Harris, who had the 13th biggest Patreon page, deleted his Patreon account. Dave Rubin and Jordan Peterson announced that they are creating an alternative to Patreon right now. Many people jump off of Patreon. I have lost about $200, about 30 people supporting me on Patreon, because people just don't like the way Patreon handles things. So you can support me through recurring PayPal donations, all those people who ask me for an alternative. There is a link to that in the description and in the pinned comment. Until we find a solution. Hopefully Jordan Peterson and Dave Rubin will create an alternative that we can all use. As soon as it's there, I will be definitely on there, and I will definitely announce it so that everyone can see and everyone can find me there. And to say it again, don't trust Subscribestar. Subscribestar is not a good alternative platform. They don't like criticism of Islam. They didn't accept me for criticizing Islam. So... Text speaks that at what point are you going to talk about Taqiyya? I can make it very briefly. Taqiyya is not what many people think it is. Many people, those who defend Islam and those who criticize Islam, many people make false claims, mistakes about the concept of taqiyya. It's not completely what everyone says it is. I would love to be very fair about the subject matter, although I fiercely criticize Islam, which is why I will make a video about that quite soon, to explain what taqiyya exactly is, if Muslims collectively practice it today or not, if people even know what taqiyya is, and so on. But thanks for the question. Hamir Abram said, Apostate, what is your preferred form of government, if not Sharia? Well, I think it's a very long issue, but our democracy in our time is working quite well, although it has a lot of flaws. Representative democracies, direct democracies, we don't have the latter very much in our world right now, but the systems built on democracy are working quite well. Although I personally believe that there are many flaws about democracy that I would love to elaborate on, but I don't think right now is the right place and time to go into lengthy discussions about that. I would love to talk about it in future sometime. As many of you might have noticed, I don't talk very much about my political opinions on various other things in my videos or on live chats, but I might actually go into that in the future so that people can stop calling me all the names like far right or whatever. I'm not even far right. You can basically put me in the center, slightly center right position, if you really want to put me somewhere. What do I think about Tommy Robinson? Habibi, thank you for the question. I think that he has done very useful, very great work in terms of exposing how the government, how authorities and many others deal with Islam and what the Islamic community does in the West, especially in the UK. That said, there are many things that I disagree with him about, especially in his methods on how he exposes things. But I believe I can appreciate that he made a lot of useful work. And Tommy Robinson is also quite of a banner in society right now. So I respect him for the good things he did. I disagree with him on many other things. That's all. Thanks so much for the question. Do I believe in UFOs? Come on. Am I an ethnic Kekistani? Pete Hill. Thanks for the question. Yeah, thanks for the question. It just skips the answer. What a jerk. Apostate prophet. Do you believe the argument that Jews used to live peacefully under Muslim rule in the medieval ages until the Zionist movement began? Do you believe that? Okay, asked by Stormboy. The question is pretty much if I believe in the argument that Jews lived peacefully under Muslim rule in the medieval ages. I don't, and I have a lot of reasons not to believe in that. If you want me to list my reasons, you can actually go to a video that I made a while ago in which I summarized the history of Islam, of Jews under Islamic rule. I called it the Islam's Dark History with Jews. It was part of a 3-part series. In that I explained very much that that claims about totally peaceful lives of Jews under Islamic rule are nothing but propaganda. There have been massive massacres and otherwise oppressions of Jews in the Islamic history, in the Islamic world. So yeah, it's definitely false. All right. Thanks for all the participation. Thanks for all the questions, for all the great comments. EXY7 said, "Why are you not a Christian?" I know I didn't pronounce it rightly, but why are you not a Christian? Well, to begin with, I can't believe in the one God. I have a lot of reasons not to believe in that. Just half an hour ago, I actually talked about that, and many people asked me to make a video about why I don't believe in God. But I don't believe in God. I have many reasons not to believe in God. That is the main reason I'm not a Christian. Apart from that, whatever. I believe that Christianity is actually quite a nice religion. I know many atheists think that's a very horrible thing of me to say, but I think Christianity is a quite nice religion and is fundamentally very peaceful. Just the way I believe it to be true about Buddhism and Sikhism and Hinduism and so on. But yeah, just the mere reason I don't believe in Christianity is that I can't believe in God. If I did believe in God, then I would believe in the religion no matter what it says and does. And let me see the questions. Is there anything called self-respect in the religion of Islam? Asked by Purge will add. Well, Depends on how you define self-respect. But it's actually a good point to talk about sometime. Well, Islam teaches very much to humiliate yourself personally. It goes even further than the whole pride is bad concept in Catholicism. It is. It is very much worse, especially if you land in a movement like Sufism. If you land in an Islamic world like Sufism, you will pretty much learn to despise yourself and to hate yourself, to humiliate yourself, to ask Allah for forgiveness 24/7, which is just, come on. I can't say that's evil. I can't say that's a horrible thing to do to the rest of humankind, but it's a horrible way to treat yourself. I was there. I was a very devout Sufi Muslim, and I basically bashed myself all the time, and it really destroys your personality. It really destroys your self-respect and your confidence in society so much. It's horrible. Shanky Sangroga said, "What if Islamic scripture is wrong and everything written about Muhammad is wrong?" Well, it is wrong. That's why I'm here. That just means that a horrible scam worked very, very well and went very far today. I sometimes imagine Muhammad and Omar coming back into today's time alive, suddenly resurrected in some place, in a secret place in America, coming back to life, looking at society, and they would probably think, "Holy shit. People really believe this? We are now the second biggest religion? I was just joking, man." That's probably what Muhammad would think. What can I say about Rumi? Asked by Zizi. For all those who don't know about Rumi, although you should know about Rumi, Rumi is a Sufi poet, thinker from old Turkey times, about 700 years ago, I believe, or even more. Who is very much loved around the world today because he has said so many sweet things about love and appreciation and this and that. But many of those things you read aren't actually Rumi quotes. Many of them are falsely attributed to Rumi. But Rumi was a Sufi. He was a guy who dealt more with peace and being a nice guy, being in love with Allah and so on. It's all nonsense. But yeah, I can't really demonize him the way I can say all these horrible things about Muhammad, which I gladly say. Rotboy the Undead said, "Apostate Prophet, do you believe that the Middle East, Israel aside, could reform and become well developed in the near future? I know I'm questioning greedily because I'm Jewish for a reason." Stop it. Well, I believe that things could get much better. That the Middle East would definitely make steps into the future. But for that, they first off have to ditch their whole Islam is the biggest truth perspective. If that happens, and if the Islamic world stops thinking that everyone is their enemy, that the West is the big evil and Israel is the big evil and everyone wants to destroy the Islamic world, if they all stop this whole stupid victim game, this victim card, the Islamic world could actually develop. But as long as people are stuck in that, nothing will happen. To just give you an example of a modern country, of a Muslim country that is considered modern, Turkey, where I lived for over 10 years. You can walk around in society and you will hear 10 times a day that Turkey is just not doing well because of all the world powers not wanting Turkey to develop, which is ridiculous. No one cares about Turkey. No one gives a thing about Turkey. So, yeah, if the Islamic world stopped all this victim playing, they would probably develop. How long is this chat today for? Asked by Horse. I will be here for another half an hour, I believe. And then we can end for today. I will also start very soon with patron-only live chats for all those people who are great enough to support me. I appreciate that, and therefore for them special, I want to make special live chats where only they can ask me questions that I can also upload later on YouTube. I haven't started with that yet. Many people have asked me about it, but I will start that quite soon. Antimony Cup said, will you make a video about the culture of political assassinations in Turkey, Hrant and others? I might go into such things much more in the future. For now, I want to focus on all the things we need to talk about on Islam. I think once we have most of the things that I want to say about Islam out of the way, I would love to go more into Islamic societies and Muslim societies and all the things that happen in those societies and around the world. I want to go more into politics and all the news in the world, but for now I think we have a lot to talk about Islam, and I want to focus on it very much. Asked by Pavel Korovin. Is that how I pronounce that? I learned how to read Cyrillic alphabet long ago, but I'm not very great at it. Asked, Apostate Prophet, how have you seen how a hijab said that he's proud of Islamic conquering, and crowd started Allahu Akbar King? I haven't seen that specific part. I haven't even watched the whole debate. I have only watched specific parts. But I believe that he said that because he's a fundamentalist Muslim, just like Ali Dawa, just like so many other fundamentalist Muslims. And many of fundamentalist Muslims have this thing that they are proud of all the things we criticize. You know, the moderate Muslim says, oh, you're just taking all of this out of context and you're lying about it, and it's not really the way you understand. You need to ask a scholar. The fundamentalist Muslim prefers to say, I'm proud of that. So I can totally believe that he said that, but that's why you should be careful with fundamentalist Muslims. And that's why fundamentalist Muslims should also make such honest statements up front when they teach about Islam. What are my thoughts on Christian Prince? He's a good guy. I will have a live chat with him in near future, in January. Thanks for asking. Tom Electronics said, will you ever make videos about forced conversion of Hindus to Islam during the Islamic invasion of India? Yes. The problem is, I want to repeat this again, the problem is that the history about the Islamic invasion of India is very, very crowded. I prefer to go into historical records myself and find what is really authentic and what is not, and to present things in a fair way if I talk about history, because history is something very delicate. About the Islamic invasion of India, there is just not very much credible to find. But we have numbers and we have estimations that at least 80 million people were killed during the Islamic invasion of India. I want to work on that in the future. I want to put together real, reliable, authentic information. And as soon as I have done that, I want to go into the Islamic invasion of India, definitely. But in the future, it won't be out soon. Douglas Ferguson said, for historic information on Al-Andalus by historians, check out Real Crusades History on YouTube. I will. Thank you very much for your advice. Romy Tobinson, glad seeing you here. Not the real Tommy Robinson, but Romy Tobinson is someone I see here quite frequently. That's what I'm saying this. Greetings from Nottingham, UK. Thank you very much. Greetings back. Ilza Lima said, what is your thoughts on the Illuminati? Are we still talking about Illuminati? Illuminati is a hoax. It doesn't exist. And they are not controlling the world and shutting everything down. Please, just... Gedalia, you should watch it. He made a complete fool himself. I believe you're referring to the Muhammad hijab debate. I will probably watch it sometime fully through. I've only watched parts of it, most of it actually, and have seen how disgustingly Muhammad hijab debated and thought, come on, this is just ridiculous. I also want to applaud here David Wood again for how much of a gentleman he was during that debate. Which is what I like about David Wood, and what I dislike about those Dawa people. So basically, Muhammad Hijab was standing there insulting David Wood during the debate over and over again, attacking him personally, making complete ridiculous statements. And David Wood was just approaching, whenever it's his turn, he's just going there and being totally nice and totally calm and peaceful and friendly and professional. So you can really see the difference, right? Let us see. What is the future of Islam? Asked by Papillion Blue. I believe the future of Islam is not very bright. Well, bright for us, not bright for Islam. I believe Islam will very, very slowly, very, very quickly, very rapidly go into a decline. And will probably die within the next 200 years. I know many Muslims believe that the world will not last that long. The world will probably end in 30 to 50 years or something. Keep believing that. People believe that in the year 1100. So in 200 years, the youngest generation will probably have no interest in following Islamic rules anymore. I believe Islam is dying. Apostasy is rising. Many Islamic authorities, Islamic people are acknowledging that fact. And I would love to make a compilation of that because it's so beautiful to see. But yeah, Islam is dying. Do I play chess, Abhishek Kumar? I actually do. I used to play chess a lot in the past. I play sometimes with my wife. It's actually the only game, a board game, if you can even call it a board game. That's an insult to chess, that I really enjoy. That was an unusual question. Thank you. So, Fitwi Gebrai, what is the meaning of the Messiah according to Islam? Islam doesn't even have a proper explanation of what the Messiah is and what he's supposed to do. It's quite weird that Islam calls Jesus the Messiah, but in Islam Jesus didn't do anything except just coming here, talking to people, and then having his whole message forgotten and corrupted by people. Makes no sense at all. That's why Muslims believe that Jesus will come back in the future, kind of a second coming, but he will not come back for the Christians. He will come back to declare that Islam is the true and peaceful, and that Islam is the true and the right religion, that Christians and Jews should stop lying, and he will defeat the infidel and fight for Allah. So we will have a jihadi Jesus according to Islam. Ridiculous. Apple Pie made a super chat. Thank you so much, Apple Pie. You can attach a question to that if you want to. Otherwise, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Apple Pie XOX. Rudra said, why are a lot of Europeans converting to Islam? Do they not know about the truth of Islam? Well, they are actually not. I know many people believe this narrative because Muslims have been spreading this propaganda that so many Europeans are converting to Islam, but actual numbers show us that virtually no one is converting to Islam. That's not the reality. What is happening is that many Muslims are making far more babies than Europeans, and many more Muslims are coming into the West, which is why the Muslim population is rising in Europe, while the European population is in decline due to low birth rates. But people are not converting to Islam. That's just pure propaganda. That was actually one of the first things that I made on this channel, to present very factually that people are not converting to Islam in masses. Why would they? Truth Teller said, without killing, Islam wouldn't survive. Do you agree with that fact? Historically, yes. Today it's a bit more ambiguous. But if there was no rule of killing apostates in Islam, Islam would probably have died 1,000 years ago. But even if most Muslims don't kill apostates today anymore, it has just left an impact on society, on how the Islamic society, the Islamic community thinks and works. You know, if a religion tells people that leaving Islam is punishable by death, what do you expect people to be in the 21st century if they come out of that religion? But yeah, without those whole apostasy and aggression rules, Islam would have definitely died. Naruto fan said, pork, dude, do you eat it? I eat pork, I do. That's a very weird thing. I want to talk about that sometime. If you have lived your life as a Muslim, especially as a devout Muslim who abstained from all the sinful and bad things, and you haven't touched pork in your life because you were told that is completely, evil and haram and disgusting and this and that, even after you leave Islam, you still have this subconscious problem with pork. It took me a very long time to get used to eating pork. I just wanted to treat it as something completely normal. Wanted to eat bacon. Wanted to eat all the nice things that you can make with pork, but It took a very long time until I could get used to that. It really messes with your psychology. Apple Pie, thank you. I'm a patron. Thank you so much, Apple Pie. I appreciate it. BSTRZ04 said, "Do you know Kadir Misirolu? He is Turkish Zakir Naik." Yes, I do know him. He's a ridiculous guy. I think he was one of those. He was that guy who claimed that Shakespeare wasn't actually an English guy, and his name wasn't actually Shakespeare. His name was actually Shakespeare, and he was a secret Muslim. Oh God, that's what Islam does to you. What is my Facebook ID? I'm on Facebook with my real name, which is Ridvan Aydemir. You can find me there. You can even find me if you go on Apostate Prophet. If you go on the Apostate Prophet Facebook page, you can find me among the staff of Apostate Prophet. The staff of Apostate Prophet. Spank Me Daddy made a super chat. Thank you for such a great username. Thank you for ruining this chat. Said, keep on doing what you're doing. Also, do Muslims know that Jesus is a Jew? Yeah. Thank you so much for your super chat. They do, but they don't have a problem with that inherently. They also believe in all the Jewish prophets and this and that. They have a problem with all the Jews who remained Jews after Islam. And with some other Jews before Islam, because the Quran somehow, in a such wonderful way, insults Jews over and over again that it accuses with things that we can't even see. Apple Pie, thank you so much again. Said my boyfriend is from Iran and he's an atheist. Congratulations. Thank you so much for your super chat. Thank you so much for your contribution. Thanks everyone for participating. Thank you for all the questions. Subrat Shukla, thank you so much for your super chat. I really appreciate it. Abhishek Kumar said, do you ever get death threats? I get them a lot. I used to get them a lot when I used to get much more of death threats when I was on Instagram. I even had a collection of death threats that I received that I marked as what was that? Terrorist in the morning. I had a hashtag like that on Instagram, but at some point I was banned, and then I got totally tired of counting all those death threats because they are getting more and more. There are hundreds of them, and most of them are just bullshit. No one will come here and try to attack me. Also, I'm in a very safe community here in America. And in America, we have means where we can defend ourselves. And I will use those means if I have to. Cavalry Piper said, I was in Iraq in 2010-2011, and I frequently heard the term Inshallah used as a cop-out for not doing something for themselves or being lazy. Is this just an Iraq thing? Very nice and interesting question. Thank you so much for your super chat. It's not unique to Iraq. It's a very common thing in the Muslim community, but I wouldn't include that in my fierce criticism of Islam. I would rather I said the same thing when I was a Muslim myself. People tend to say inshallah if Allah allows or if Allah wills about things that they want to do or that they are supposed to do, but usually end up not doing. To be fair, many people say inshallah just because they are faithful and they think no matter what I'm doing, if I'm going to do it, I should say this phrase because I want Allah to support what I'm doing. But yeah, there are many people who use that phrase just to kind of, sneak away and not do what they're supposed to do. It's a very funny phenomenon. Nice point to make. And thanks for the super chat. Another super chat by Tai B is, do you think ex-Muslims in the West have an obligation to help ex-Muslims stuck in Muslim countries? And if so, how? Thanks for the question. It depends on your perspective. It's more of a personal, more of a subjective thing. I believe it's a great thing if you're an ex-Muslim in the West to go and support ex-Muslims in the Muslim world, no matter in what way you can. But many people just don't have the means to do that. So, I can't put this expectation on people. I wouldn't say it's an obligation, but I would say it's a great thing to do. I hope that answers your question. Thank you so much for your super chat. Lee Topcap, yes, I am a Leah Topcap. Yes, I'm in America. It's a safe country so far, if all those weird people who want to remove borders don't mess it up. Hellbound Iscariot said, what did you think about the outrage over Innocence of Muslims? The film Innocence of Muslims, I believe you're referring to. Many people might not know what you're referring to. It was a parody that was made long ago about the life of Islam. I have personally never watched it, and when I was a Muslim, I didn't even hear of that, so I didn't have an opinion on that. And I haven't even watched it, so I can't even say that it's hilarious. I should probably do that sometime. I don't know why I didn't do that. Hema Kandran Debug said, will Islam destroy the world? No, I don't believe anything will destroy the world, but I'm not criticizing Islam because I believe Islam will destroy the world. I don't believe that Islam will survive that far. But I believe that Islam causes a lot of damage, a lot of danger in places that it has nothing, where it shouldn't exist. Especially in the culture I identify with, the world I love, which is the Western world. And also the remaining parts of Europe, India, so many other places where Islam tries to, where many Islamists, with the help of many others, and by Islamists I really mean Islamists, I mean the radical ones, are trying to sneak in their form of Islam and trying to damage societies and destroy societies by installing Islam as the norm. That's why I criticize Islam. I don't believe that Islam will destroy the world. Islam will die itself within a few centuries. Gedalia said, do you and your wife celebrate Christmas? If so, how do your parents cope with that? We do celebrate Christmas. I have never cared about what my parents or what anyone for that matter says about what I do or don't do. So I like Christmas. I have always loved it, even when I was a little child. I had quite nice memories with Christmas when I was a child. And my parents told me that I shouldn't celebrate it or that I'm not allowed to like it or anything. But I would love to go more into such stories in the future. Thank you for your question. Kafir Linda Clark, great seeing you here. Thank you so much for your super chat, Linda. I just learned that Islam teaches God is not a spirit. So what is God made of per Islam? Incredible. Well, the thing is, if you're a Muslim, if you are in Islam and indoctrinated with Islam, the main thing that you are taught when you question Islam, when you question Allah's physical features and so on, is that you are not supposed to think about those things at all. You're not supposed to think about whether he's male or female, whether he has body parts, whether he has a leg or not, whether he's a ghost in the sky or whatever. So you are told that you have absolutely no business talking about those things, let alone question these things. That's why no one would even accept any definite statement about about Allah's physical features. Whether you said he has skin color, he has a body, he's a spirit, a ghost, whatever you say, it's not acceptable in Islam. You are not supposed to think about these things. But yeah, that's actually a nice thing to tell people. I should actually make a video about that too. Quite an interesting thing that I didn't even talk about, that I didn't even think talking about. Subrat Shukla said, your humor is very on point. Kudos. What is FGM? Thank you so much for the super chat, Subrat. Female genital mutilation is FGM. Female genital mutilation is an Islamic thing that was probably adopted by Islam from cultural remainders that were seen in Arabia and in other cultures, which is a horrible mutilation of the vagina in childhood, which also has severe health impacts, severe mental impacts on girls once they grow up and even earlier, and has great dangers. Many people claim that it has nothing to do with Islam, mostly because those who claim such things are moderate Muslims or Muslims from different branches of Islam. But in Islam, we have hadith that point out that it's totally fine to mutilate a girl's vagina, which is a horrible, disgusting thing, a very dark thing. I made a video about that long ago. But thanks for the question. Master Appy said, what is Gog and Magog? That's a civilization or something like that, an evil group mentioned in the Quran and also in the Hadith, believed to be in the East somewhere. Some kind of community, some kind of weird creatures or people that are supposed to come out in future and trouble society. People believe that to be an end time prophecy, something that is supposed to happen in the end times. It's a long topic, but that's briefly what it is. I will definitely go into that. I'm planning on making a series on the end time prophecies in Islam and all the things that are supposed to happen and will never happen in Islam. I will definitely include that there. Thanks for the question. Super chat by Supernova. Don't stop the great work. Thank you so much, Supernova. Thank you very, very much. I really appreciate it. Another super chat by Somnath1234. Why do Arabic Muslims adopt Arabic names and scripts to write native languages? Do they not realize that they have an identity crisis? Well, that's what cultures have done over time. That's what Pakistanis did. That's what so many other cultures did. And to be very honest, the Pakistani letters don't even look great. They look horrible. I don't know who came up with that. They base it on Persian, which is also derived from Arabic, and Persian actually looks and sounds quite nice, but they have destroyed their own language by adopting Arabic. But that's just something that Islam does, because Islam is a glorification of the Arab culture. Islam is basically Arab. It's Arab imperialism. That's what Islam does. That's what Islam basically is. I'm not just saying this. There are so many reasons why I say this. I will go further into that quite soon. Apple Pie, again, another super chat. Thank you so much. I was 16 and a Muslim told me he will take my country. Thank you so much for your super chat. Big Chris made another super chat saying, would you be for banning any ideology that goes against the liberal democratic republic, such as socialism, fascism, communism, and Islam? I wouldn't be against banning any of those things. I would be against strictly arguing against those points, strictly presenting arguments on why those things are horrible, including communism, including fascism, including Islam. I wouldn't say socialism is horrible. I would just say socialism is a pretty stupid and pretty bad idea. But that's what I think. I don't believe in banning any of those things. Thank you so much, and thanks for the super chat. Please make a video with Imam Tawhidi, said by Velizda. I will do that again in the future. I made a live chat with him quite recently, in which I fiercely discussed with him about his motives, about the future of Islam, about the Muslim community, and so on. It's a shame that the sound quality was horrible because of me. That's why the debate is not here anymore. But it was a great debate. I will do that in future again. Supreme said, do you think the universe was created or not? I don't know. See, that's one of the things that I want to address in that video that I'm going to make quite soon, because people want me to. I can't say anything about the universe, because what we know about the universe is limited on what we see, is limited to what we see when we observe our universe, which is called the observable universe. We don't even know what's beyond that right now. So any statement about the origin of the universe is just a guess, is just an estimation, which is why I would like to abstain from making such conclusions, because I refrain from taking a position based on estimations and beliefs and guesses. So you could also not put me in the same box as you put your regular anti-theist. But thanks for the question. It's an interesting thing to talk about. Aisha Mati said, please can you explain the different Muslim groups like Sunni? Well, there are Sunni Muslims, Shia Muslims, Ibadi Muslims. Those are the three main Muslim groups that are accepted as Muslims. Among themselves, those also have different branches that accept each other mostly. Apart from that, we have also the Ahmadiyya, for example. The Ahmadiyya are not accepted as Muslims by the other Muslims. They are seen as heretics and are vastly persecuted under Muslim societies. under Islamic governments. And there is so much more. I would love to make a list on that quite soon. Thank you for the question. Joe James said, what do you think about Sikhism and Sikhs? I think they are quite peaceful people. It's quite a peaceful mentality. There has been a great deal of reaction in Sikh history against Islamic attacks in India, and so much more. That's pretty much everything I know about Sikhism, apart from the whole guru thing and the whole not cutting your hair stuff and carrying a knife and stuff like that. But I would need to go further into Sikhism to learn more about it before making any statements about it. As you know, maybe I don't like making statements about something that I don't fully know about. All right, we are almost at the end of this live chat. Thank you very much, everyone, for participating. Thank you so much for all the questions, all the wonderful, great comments. I'm sorry if I didn't answer your question. There are just hundreds of them. It's not possible. I'm very sorry. Mirza the Fake Pagan said, are you Turkish, Kurdish, Laz, or whatever? I'm Turkish mostly. I'm Turkish Persian, according to my ancestry results. And I have also some other stuff like Italian and Jewish and this and that. I should make an ancestry results video, right? Should I make an ancestry results video? That would be interesting. Stormy Boy said, would you make a video with Robert Spencer if you could? I actually had a live chat with Robert Spencer just to pick his mind, to get his ideas about what's going on in the Muslim world and stuff about Islam. I don't fully agree with everything Robert Spencer says and does, but I like having him in a conversation, and it can be quite nice talking to him. Although, as said again, I don't like everything he does. Type B said, have you ever done a genetic ancestry test? I did. I even have my results. I should make something about that quite soon. Rachel, His Grace, said, please debunk those who try to refute you. Thanks. Thank you for the super chat, Rachel. The problem is that some people have attempted to make refutation videos about me recently, and most of them were filled with completely off-the-point arguments, personal insults, and stuff like that. As I have pointed out very often before, I don't like going on such a level with people, and I don't like insulting people back if they choose to insult me in their own work, which is why I haven't responded to any of those videos. There has been a quite recent refutation of my work by the Andalusian project, Asadullah Ali. He made a very bad video about me in which he insulted me throughout 28 minutes, and I left a text comment, a comment response to him. But afterwards, I also started privately talking with him and sorting things out nicely and peacefully. I might actually make a response to him in future if we come to the conclusion that we shouldn't insult each other. But that's my position. I just don't like going into the whole, oh, you're horrible, you're an idiot, and this and that, you know. Another verse said, the Islamic reoccupation of Europe started in the 90s on Serbian territories, first in Bosnia and then in Kosovo. So far, 200 plus Serbian Orthodox churches have been destroyed by the occupiers. Thank you so much for your super chat. Thank you for your opinion. Another verse. Apple Pie made a super chat, said, please speak German, I love you. Thank you so much, Apple Pie. For all my German viewers, all those wonderful Germans, I love you all. I love my original home country, Germany. Meine lieben deutschen Freunde, ich vermisse mein Heimatland so sehr, und ich bin äußerst glücklich über jeden Besuch von jedem Deutschen, der mich gerne anschaut, der mir gerne zuhört. Vielen, vielen Dank. That was a brief German thing. All right, let me have some final questions and then we can end the live chat. Sri Krishna said, do you consider yourself Turkish or German? German, definitely. Germany is my home country. German is my culture. German is my mentality. I love Germany. William Thompson said, "Can I email you?" Yes, you can. You can send an email to theapostateprophet@gmail.com. You can also find that in the About section on my YouTube profile. You can send an email there. Pavel Korovin said, "What are you disagreeing with Robert?" Well, a bit on his methods in dealing with Islam, on being very quick in sharing news that are not for sure authentic news. But I wouldn't go ahead and bash him now for his work, because I mostly appreciate what he does. But I just criticizing Islam is a tough thing, because there are so many people who criticize Islam who make it in different ways, who go different paths. Like, there are so many, like Bridget Gabriel, Pamela Geller, Robert Spencer, David Wood, and so on. And all those people have different strategies, different paths in how to criticize Islam. And I agree with some of them very much. I agree with some of them barely. So that's pretty much it. I wouldn't come here and just degrade his work now. But thanks for the question. Neil Patel said, "The world needs more people like you." Thank you so much, Neil, for your super chat. Thank you so much for your words. I appreciate it very much. Thank you. What do I think about the claims that many people accept Islam after 9/11? It is true. After 9/11 happened, so many people had an irrational irrational response, an irrational reaction to 9/11 and to Islam, including hating all Muslims, blaming all Muslims, and then the one side thought it was a great job, it was a great thing to do, to react to these right-wing positions and to suddenly love all Muslims and act like Islam is just misunderstood, and Islam is actually quite a peaceful and different religion and culture. So after 9/11, lots of things happened. It was a very sad day. It was a very sad event. And so many things happened just the wrong way. When people should have started thinking that there is something wrong with Islam after 9/11, so many people chose to think, oh, we are just misunderstanding and stigmatizing Islam after 9/11, which is totally not the right thing to do, sadly. R. Sully made a super chat. Thank you so much, R. Sully. And said, "Have you ever considered buying and carrying a gun to protect yourself? Being an outspoken critic of Islam is historically very dangerous. I'm not alone when I say we worry about your safety." Thank you so much for your concern. Thank you so much for your words and your thoughts, R. Sully. And I appreciate it very much. I have protection. I have protection for myself. I'm in America. And I will gladly use that protection. I believe that I'm not in great danger. I believe that the vast majority of Muslims are not crazy people who would love to come here and kill me and attack me. But I have protection. We are in America. America is much safer than many other countries, including many European countries. We have the means to protect ourselves, and I will use those means. I always say this. God damn it. Jadu79 said, "Are you thinking about making a video that distinguishes between the different varieties and subgroups of Islam and why they are fighting and dividing?" I will. I just talked about that only a little bit. I will definitely do that in a near future. Velezda's, thank you so much, Velezda. Sri Krishna said, "Who is your favorite Islam critic? David Wood, Robert Spencer, Ali Sinha, Masked Arab, Bill Warner." My favorite Islamic critic is also my new friend, who is David Wood. I thought that even before I had any contact with him. I think he's very fair, very nice in his criticism of Islam. He doesn't go to extreme extents. He doesn't go and make false accusations. He stays very, mostly very fair in his criticism of Islam. So that's what I appreciate very much about David Wood. Yeah, he's pretty much my favorite. I like very much how the Masked Arab deals with Islam, how he criticizes Islam. Sadly, the Masked Arab doesn't do very much recently anymore, but we will hopefully have him back in the future. All those asking about Christian Prince, I will have Christian Prince here on my channel in January, about around January 3rd or around that date sometime. He will be here talking with me live. So just be a little bit patient. All right. Tatiana J said, how do you feel about Christianity? I don't believe in Christianity, but I don't have a problem with Christianity. I think it's a quite peaceful and nice religion, just like many other religions. And again, I don't criticize Islam because it's a religion. I don't criticize people because they believe in God. I criticize Islam because Islam is a horribly wrong political system that I certainly want to do my part against. That said, let me briefly summarize the whole Patreon thing because that's in the title and many people are curious about that. Patreon banned Sargon of Akkad about 2 weeks ago for saying something that they don't agree with. Many people have been outraged about that. Many people who support me on Patreon said that they want to dump Patreon and want to look for an alternative way to support me. You can support me through the link down in the comment section, in the pinned comment, and also in the description, through PayPal recurring payments for now. As soon as there is a great update, as soon as there is an alternative to Patreon, I will definitely be there, and I will be very quick to announce that. You can find me there immediately. Dave Rubin and Jordan Peterson are working on a Patreon alternative right now. It should be great. So we'll hopefully have good news about that quite soon, and I will definitely announce them quite quickly as soon as it happens. And thanks everyone for bearing with me. Thanks everyone for notifying me about the whole Patreon thing. And thanks to all those who choose to wait for a new alternative. Greed Amundsen said, will you upload the stream? Yes, the stream will be up as soon as it's over. Nada First made another super chat, thank you very much, and said, what do you think about the Turkish series Magnificent Century that romanticizes Islam and the Ottoman Empire being aired throughout Europe? It's a horribly historically distorted presentation of how things actually went. It's horrible. I watched it myself, a few episodes. I remember my parents watching it actually, which is weird because it's a mix of Islamic elements and the more secular modernist Turkish elements put together into one TV show. Heavily distorted version of history, heavily distorted presentation of Islam. It's embarrassing. Yeah. But so are most Turkish series that deal with such stuff. Sorry, Turks. Karen Abrams, love you. Thanks for what you're doing. I love you too. Thank you so much. Tatiana J, I just answered your question a few minutes ago, but thank you again for asking. All right. Thanks everyone very much for joining. I can't speak properly anymore. Thanks for joining. Thanks for all the great questions. Thanks for the great comments. Thanks for participating. Sorry if I didn't answer your question. There are just hundreds of questions. It's hardly possible to get through all of that. So thanks if I missed your question, but thank you so much. Yes, I have seen David Wood's last video. Shout out to David Wood again, another great critic of Islam. Shout out to the Masked Arab and to Vidovitz, with whom I will have a live chat later this week, and to so many others, and to Christian Prince, with whom I will have a live chat in the new month, in the new year. Thank you all so much. Thanks for your support and thank you for your participation. And vielen Dank, teşekkürler, thank you so much. Stay away from Islam.